Good morning, Roll Gang. It is time for a midweek mailbag episode of the show. We've got questions from Roll Gangsters all over the metaverse this morning to go over, and I am so excited to burn some ganja with the Roll Gang. So, without further ado, let's just get on into this episode of the show. Good morning, Roll Gang. It is the Weekday Wake and Bake, your Processor Sky, back with another episode of the show, because after all, we have awoke, so now we must smoke, as per stoner law. So I've got some Oreos this morning, and I have 5 questions from Roll Gangsters from Twitter, and I'm really excited to answer them with you guys. But first and foremost, major shout outs to the sponsors of the show, because they make it happen for us and make it possible, help out you guys along the way. First and foremost, Oaksterdam University, the place to go to learn about this unbelievable plant. The Harvard of cannabis has been kicking ass for 15 years now, withstood a federal raid, and still fucking kicking. Oaksterdam University, my proud alumni, and the place to go to claim your stake in this budding industry. Use promo code ROLLINGSPOON, one word, to get 10% off your tuition at Oaksterdam and learn about cannabis horticulture or cannabis business, you know? And this episode is also brought to you, as always, by the Rolling Spoon Cannabis Multi-Tool. Yo, major shout out this one. Little preview for the newest edition of the Rolling Spoon Cannabis Multi-Tool. Using it to roll a dime every time, just like every weekday morning here on the Weekday Wake and Bake. So what is happening this morning, Roll Gang? It is great to see everybody tuning in on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You guys are all the shit, and I love session with you guys every morning. I have 5 questions from Roll Gangsters all over the metaverse, and I am so excited to dive on into them. Major shout out Tierra Nadia 88_1. Huge shout out. Good morning to everybody tuning in. I am about to smoke up this joint before it's even rolled, so I gotta finish this baby up real quick. But anyways, the first question here on this midweek mailbag episode of the Weekday Wake and Bake comes from @Scotty Greeny. @Scotty Greeny on Twitter. Yo, major shout out. Says, how is the new job treating you? I did post that as part of the question analysis. Is ask about maybe my new bud tending gig. How is the new job treating you? From Scotty Greeny. Yo, for those of you who do not know, I have accepted a position as a bud tender over at Medicine Dispensary. Really love chatting with all the people and selling some weed professionally. So I absolutely been loving my new job. Shout out Scott Greeny. Medicine's been taking great care of me. We have great products, great people, great workers. I mean, starting with the employees, honestly. So major shout out Scotty Greeny for the question. @CodStoner710 says, what's the best product you sell in your shop? Yo, what a great question. So my favorite Medicine product is the Hawaiian Butterscotch. It's an unbelievable strain. Hella awesome. Unbelievable smoke. Actually, on National Spoon Day a couple Fridays ago, we had a whole eighth smoked on the show. I rolled a whole eighth of the Hawaiian butterscotch into a backwood. That is my favorite thing we sell in the shop. Absolutely love the Hawaiian butterscotch over at Medicine. Huge shout out, Cod Stoner 710 for the question. And the next one comes from @SpaceNugget. Love that handle. @SpaceNugget. Says, any weird customers? You know, I don't think I've had a weird customer experience yet. There's a couple people that are extremely quiet. This one couple was wearing a leash. This girl was wearing a leash, and I'm assuming her man carries the handle normally. It was a little bit kinky and fun, but that's the weirdest I've seen so far. 1 week into my new job. I'll make sure to come on and give you guys updates if anything really weird happens. The next question comes from @afterthought_. But before I ask, major shout out to the Rolling Spoon Cannabis Multi-Tool, helping me to roll a dime every time on every episode of the Weekday Wake and Bake as well. So @afterthought_ says, cannabis fun fact. Yo, I don't really have a cannabis fun fact this morning, but I just wanted to use this as an opportunity to say my favorite football team, the Tennessee Titans, are 4-2-0. I kind of feel like it's faded. It almost happens every year. 4 wins, 2 losses, 0 ties. 420. You know, that's my cannabis fun fact of the day. And maybe a cannabis fun fact for the Roll Gangsters. You know, the most effective anti-inflammatory that Mother Nature has ever made is found in the cannabis plant. Caryophyllene is one of the terpenes you can target in your smokes, and it's actually the most effective natural anti-inflammatory known to man. So, cannabis fun fact, help your blood flow out by smoking some pot. And you know that blood is the lifeblood, you know? Lifeblood of your life. You know, it carries all the nutrients to your body and oxygenates your brain. If you have good blood flow, you will be functioning properly. My blood flow is definitely not stimulated. I have not been getting too much sleep. But next week, Roll Gang, starting up the Weekday Wake and Bake at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, noon Eastern. So, really excited to get started with the new time. I am absolutely exhausted from working until midnight every night and then waking up super early for the Weekday Wake and Bake. I love wake and baking with you guys, but this is just a little bit impossible. So I'm kicking it back an hour. 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 8 noon Eastern. It is going to be really hard to change the flow, but we got to do what we got to do here on the Weekday Wake and Bake. The last question here on the show before we get on with our hump day comes from @Khabib741853. @Khabib741853 says, what's the craziest thing you've seen weed do? And I love this question because I have a pretty amazing story from back in Sacramento. Really love the opportunity to share it. Shout out Khabib741853. That's the last time I'm going to say those numbers, homie. But wanted to close out the show this morning with the craziest thing I've seen weed do. So, the gas station is the table that I'm sitting at in my original company. I started it as a sesh-based tabling event-based cannabis company, and I sold an array of products on this table, from flour, used to set up the flour over here, and then I'd have a dab rig with the e-nail, and a case full of concentrates, edibles, and then topicals. And my best-selling item was that topical on the bottom there, because it had performed miracles. I put 2,500 milligrams of BHO, some either Rick Simpson or some crumble, whatever I could get my hands on, mixed it up, decarbed it, and then put it into some cocoa butter, and that's it. Cocoa butter and activated THC. Super simple and easy to make. 2,500 milligrams, uber medicinal, and it performed a little bit of magic. It was my best-selling item. I sold them for $40 a jar, which is a great deal for 2.5 grams of wax. 2.5 grams of wax in each cream. But anyways, I had a jar of the creme de gas, is what I called it, out for sample during the shows. And this Army veteran was being rolled by his wife in a wheelchair over to my booth. And they were shopping for some cannabis flower. They were checking out the flowers. And the guy in the wheelchair, who I literally can't remember his name. What a sin. But he was looking at the bottom row of the display case and could see the display for the creme de gas. And he's like, "What is that? That looks interesting." And I told him, it's 2,500 milligrams, activated THC, and cocoa butter. My most popular, top-selling item. And it performed some magic. He goes, "Do you have any to try? I'm actually a war veteran and a paraplegic, quadriplegic with very limited use of my hands." So I said, of course, yeah, this is the tester jar. I was actually not paying too much attention yet, There were multiple customers at the booth that I was tending to, and so I handed this dude the sample of the creme de gas. Well, Roll Gang, it started a complete episode. The dude opened up the jar, rubbed in some creme de gas all over his hands and wrists, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he bursts into tears. Like literally out of a fucking movie. It was insane. Out of a movie, he bursts into tears crying. And everybody at the table, I mean, it's not just his wife and I. There is like a group of people at the gas station currently, and this dude starts absolutely sobbing. And we all look over, we're so worried, and he can't even muster up the strength to speak. But he clenches his fists and put them up high in the air in the classic champion's pose. I will never forget him sitting in his wheelchair, just lean back with his hands in the air. All of a sudden, his wife starts sobbing too. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? There's this dude sobbing at the table. His wife is sobbing. And I really don't know what to do. Like, what's going on? Apparently something good. The dude's in the champion's pose. I hope he's not in pain. His wife tells me he hasn't clenched his fist since his accident. And I'm not even sure what his accident was. Something in the army to make him a quadriplegic, but mind-blowing. He hadn't clenched his fist since he lost his abilities. And he put on the creme de gas, which is literally just cocoa butter and cannabis. And instantaneously, This dude was closing his fist and putting his fists in the air. It was the most magical thing I've seen cannabis do by a long shot, Roll Gang. And honestly, it was one of the things that made me commit to this amazing plant. It really has so many benefits with such little side effects. I've seen it perform some amazing magic. What it's done for me is nothing short of magical, but this dude absolutely opened my eyes to a new world of cannabis. Major shout out to Khabib741853 for the awesome question, and Oaksterdam University for educating me up to run the gas station and the rolling spoon and hop on here and wake and bake with the Roll Gangsters. My proud alma mater, Oaksterdam University, sponsor of the show this weekday morning and every weekday morning at 8 and soon coming 9 a.m. Pacific Time, noon Eastern. Major shout out to the Roll Gangsters tuning in this morning. Really appreciate you guys. It has been an awesome mailbag episode. Shout out everybody for their submissions. And shout out to all the Roll Gangers tuning in to the show this morning on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You guys are all the shit. I am knocking all the rolling spoons around. Got my chamber spoons right here. Shout out the Chamber of Cannabis. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning for a Can of News Thursday episode of the show. Your latest and greatest in cannabis industry news with your host, Processor Sky, putting on the Anchorman cap tomorrow morning. Great to see you guys, Roll Gang. I will see you tomorrow morning. Love you. Mwah.